Picture this. You're standing in a village 10,000 years ago. Your family isn't starving because there's no food. You're starving because the food tastes like nothing and spoils within a day. It can never be saved for tomorrow, no matter how hungry tomorrow finds you. Your body is craving something you don't even have a word for yet. Then, one day, someone discovers salt, and that single moment changes everything. Not just your meal, everything that comes after it. Trade, war, cities, empires, all of it. For most of human history, salt wasn't a flavor enhancer. It was magic, a true currency. It was the reason empires rose and fell. But here's what most people don't realize. The discovery of salt didn't just make food taste better. It fundamentally rewired human civilization. Let's go back to the start. Ancient humans were hunters. You catch an animal, you eat it. But in warm climates, meat spoils in days, sometimes hours. You can't save it. You can't build a surplus. You can't feed anyone who isn't out hunting themselves. That's not civilization. That's just survival on a loop forever. Then someone realizes something insane. Meat packed in salt doesn't spoil. Not in days. Not in weeks. Sometimes not for months. A hunter can kill one animal and eat off it all winter. A fisherman can catch fish at dawn and sell them, salted, 100 miles away. For the first time ever, food could be stored, transported, turned into currency. Here's the actual science behind it. Salt pulls water out of meat through osmosis. Bacteria need water to survive and multiply. No water, no bacteria, no rot. Ancient humans had no idea what a microbe was. They just knew, rub this white crystal on meat, and it lasts forever. This one trick changes everything overnight. When food can be stored, you don't need every single person hunting or farming. You can have bakers, builders, soldiers, priests. People who make things instead of chasing dinner. You can finally have cities. But salt isn't scattered evenly across the planet. It's trapped in specific places, marshes, mines, deposits along the coast. Which means whoever controls those places controls something priceless. Ancient Egypt built entire cities around its salt ponds. They even used a salt compound called natron for something bigger than food. They packed it into bodies to pull out every drop of moisture. The same trick that saves meat, now preserving pharaohs for eternity. Rome paid its soldiers in salt, literally where the word salary comes from. They even built a highway, the Via Salaria, just to move it. In Poland, miners at Wieliczka have pulled salt from one mine for 700 years. The mine is so vast, workers carved an entire cathedral out of the salt itself. Chandeliers included, hundreds of feet underground. Before refrigeration, before canning, before plastic wrap, salt was the only way to keep food from rotting. It wasn't a luxury, it was infrastructure, as critical to ancient civilization as electricity is to you right now. And the demand was staggering. One town burned through hundreds of pounds a year, just for meat, fish, cheese, and preserving vegetables. Salt became the most valuable commodity on the planet. Salt routes turned into trade routes turned into roads. Entire towns sprang up along the way, existing for one reason only: to tax, trade, or guard the salt passing through. Some of the richest, most powerful institutions in history were built entirely on it. The Hanseatic League controlled Baltic salt and grew powerful enough to rival kings. Venetian salt traders became political rulers. In China, the government seized control of salt production over 2,000 years ago, turning it into a state monopoly so lucrative. It funded dynasty after dynasty for centuries. France went even further. The crown imposed a hated salt tax called the gabelle, forcing families to buy a fixed amount of salt every year, whether they needed it or not. Resentment over that single tax helped spark the French Revolution. Salt even named the places built around it. Hallstatt in Austria, one of the oldest salt mining towns on Earth. Salzburg literally means salt castle, monuments to a mineral you've heard of your whole life. Salt didn't just create trade. It decided where humans lived. Cities weren't built where the soil was richest. They were built wherever the salt routes ran. Rivers became highways because barrels moved easier by water. Ports exploded into major cities because they could process it and ship it out. And it went far beyond trade. Salt kept Roman legions healthy enough to conquer half the known world. It let sailors cure fish for voyages that lasted months, powering the age of exploration. Doctors used it as medicine. Farmers used it to save their harvest. Take salt away, and huge chunks of human history simply don't happen. It even sparked a revolution. In 1930, the British Empire taxed salt in India so heavily that ordinary people could barely season their own food or make their own along the coast. So Mahatma Gandhi did something almost embarrassingly simple. He walked 240 miles to the sea over 24 days with a growing crowd behind him and reached down to pick up a handful of salt in open defiance of the law. Millions followed his lead across the country, making their own salt in open protest. That single act of quiet rebellion helped ignite the movement. that ended British rule in India less than 2 decades later. A mineral you now dump on fries without thinking once helped bring down an empire. Today, humans produce over 280 million tons of salt every single year. Most of it isn't even for food anymore. It de-ices highways, runs chemical plants, treats drinking water. The same mineral that started as a way to save one hunter's kill now moves through almost every industry on the planet. Even today, salt is still one of the most important industrial chemicals on Earth. And we've almost completely forgotten that all of it traces back to one person whose name we will never know, who looked at a white crystal and realized it could keep food alive. That single discovery didn't just improve dinner. It built civilizations. It carved trade networks across continents. It funded empires and eventually helped topple one. And now, you open your cabinet, and it's sitting right there for less than $1. The same mineral that once made merchants millionaires. The same mineral once used as money. The same mineral that decided which cities became capitals, and which quietly became ghost towns. One discovery, one mineral, that changed the entire course of human history.